Get ready for the Cindy Davis Show.
Thank you for tuning in to the Cindy Davis Show. My guest today, music career, has spawned for nearly 50 years with soulful dance music like Let's Go Disco, Soul City Walk, and Let's Groove. His first smash hit, entitled Tighten Up, was his first #1 record, selling over 500,000 copies within the first week. His music aired on radio stations worldwide, including on Soul Train and featured in the 2011 movie Hall Pass.
Hi everybody, we are Chabelle and the Drells, Houston, Texas. We don't only sing, but we dance just as good as we want. In Houston, we just started a new dance, and it's called the Tighten Up. Now this is the music that we tighten up with.
Help me welcome to the show the legendary Archie Bell of Archie Bell and the Drells. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's really a pleasure.
I heard that you just celebrated a birthday.
Yeah, I just celebrated my 69th.
69th
Yeah.
birthday. Well, happy belated birthday to you.
It's a pleasure. It's an honor, a blessing to be here, really. You know.
Yeah. You have had some ride, Archie. You have had
yeah.
some 50-year ride there in the music business.
Been all over the world and never thought that it would happen one day, but traveled all over the world extensively, and I had my first big rendezvous with the world when I went into the military, but I've been to every country in the world and just about some places that you never heard of.
Wow, I bet. Where are you originally from, though?
Well, I was born in Henderson, Texas. In 1944, my parents moved to Houston when I was 9 months old. You know, we lived at that time right off of Lyons Avenue on Swat Street, but when 59 Interstate came, they took Swat Street and all that out. And then we moved to a place out on Hare Street. They called it the Bottom. That was over there. Nash Street ran through there, but Interstate 10 took that out. But that's why I really, originated right in that area.
So you went to Wheatley?
Phyllis Wheatley, right.
Oh, I went to Wheatley in the house.
Yeah, the first school I went to, elementary school, was over there off of Liberty Road. It was Dogan, and I got a chance to go to Crawford. Crawford was another one. That's over there off of West Street, close to Lorraine and everything. And junior high school, the first school I went to, the first year that they opened, I went to Cashmere for the first year. But I think after the first year, they changed the zoning laws. Everybody who lived on the south side of Crane had to go to Wheeler and vice versa. But I had my first experience in music over there with Comrade Johnson and son. Bubba Johnson, I was in a band that he played bass in.
Oh, okay. I bet some people remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did Archie Bell and the Drells come about?
Well, we were all at E.O. Smith Junior High School over there for Lyons and Gregg. And they had a talent show. It was a guy named L.C. Watson, Willie Parnell, James Wise, a guy named Cornelius Fuller, and Gerald Watkins, and L.C. Watson. We all formed this group. It was just the Drells back in that days, you know. It wasn't like back in the day when the Miracles started. It was like the Miracles, not Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
How did y'all come up with the Drells?
Well,
the name. How did you come up with the name, the Drells?
Well, that was the name really that L.C. Watson was in. He was in love with the Dells. So he took the R and put in and
put
made
in
it Drells and everything. And
that makes sense. Okay.
He kind of got in trouble and everything. He booked a show and had the Drells working at this club, and the people thought it was the Dells.
Yeah.
And then when we came out on stage and we started entertaining everything, the people were booing and said, "That's not the Dells." We did such a good show, they forgave us and everything. It all turned out right, you know, but we didn't let the people know that it was the Drells, you know, D-R-E-L-L-S instead of D-E-L-L-S.
Right. I bet that was confusing.
Yeah, that was funny. That was a really, really funny break.
Tell me about your Tighten Up. Now, that was your #1 record that sold over 500,000 copies within the first week. Is that correct?
Right.
How did you write Tighten Up? How did
Tighten
that
Up
come
was
about?
one of those things. It was a real funny situation that what happened was Billy Buller, a guy named Billy Buller, he was one of the drills at the time, and I had just got one of those greetings from Uncle Sam. I knew that Uncle Sam was going to, you know, eventually get me. I was down there a few months before with Ali, with Black Power and fighting it, but I ended up in that same situation a few weeks later. But when I got the letter from Uncle Sam and said greeting, I was thinking about like Christmas or something. But when I found out I had to go down to the board, you know, to induct myself into the board and everything. Well,
back in those days, they were drafting people.
Yeah. But I was really depressed at the time. I think I was at the point I was depressed more than anything in my life, you know. And
why were you depressed?
because Uncle Sam, you know, here I am getting ready to get a record out, and Uncle Sam come along and tell me I go to the military, and I didn't want to go to the military because I thought I was going to end up in Vietnam.
So had you already written Tighten Up before you got drafted? No.
No, but what happened, I did it before I got drafted. When Billy Buller came in, we was rooming together. He came in the apartment that day, and he was doing a little funny dance. And I started laughing, you know. I said, the radio was playing on KCOH, and he was doing that. I said, what you doing? He said, I'm doing the Tighten Up. You know, and we used to tighten up like a word up or right on. We used to tighten up and say, hey, man, I'll check you later, tighten up. You know, either when we rehearse, we would say, like, hey, you got to tighten that up, you know. So we used like a slang word.
It was a slang at the time. And so while he was dancing, he actually just, that's just something that came to
what happened was when he started dancing, for a moment there, for like 45 minutes, an hour, I forgot about it. I was getting ready to be inducted. You know, I took all that pressure off, man. I wasn't, you know, thinking about being drafted in the Army. And I thought to myself, I said, well, if that idea could get me to stop thinking about my situation, maybe something good can come of it. And about 2 weeks before that, I was in San Antonio, and I heard a disc jockey say that nothing good ever came from Texas because of the Kennedy assassination. So that's why on the record, Tighten Up, I said, how about how much you build and dreads, we not the same, but we dance as good as, I want to know that it was something from Texas that was good.
Exactly.
And that's how it came out and everything. And I came with that line. I wanted the people to know, I just said that line, I wanted people to know that we was from Houston, Texas, and we was good, but never thinking that Tighten Up would be such a big hit, you know.
Right.
But, it was one of those fairy tales kind of like stories.
So the song was actually already written before you went to the Army.
Well, right after that, we went to studios and put Tighten Up down. It was Jones Studios in Nashville Sound out there in Studewood. It's where the recording studios were. And after we recorded the song, well, then I went down to be inducted into the I went down about 12 o'clock that day, and 5 o'clock that evening, I was on my way to Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Why do you think Tighten Up was such a huge hit for you?
Well, I asked a lot of people that question and everything, and I think it's because it was something different. Nobody had heard anything like it, first of all. And the second reason is because it sounded like we was having a house party, you know, a jam. Like everybody would get together and have a good time. I always wanted to do music that make people uplift. I started out singing blues and everything, but blues was the music that people sang. I was always on a depressed mood, but I always wanted to do music to get people up and get them moving started, you know. But a lot of people tell me because it really made them want to have it sound like we was having a good time, you know, party.
House parties were big back then.
It sounded like it was live, you know, but it was really recorded in the studio, so that, I think that was one of the reasons. But we never dreamed that Tighten Up would do as big as it did, you know.
I bet.
And the TSU Tornadoes was the one who playing the music, the band, the TSU Tornadoes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was the band that playing the music behind. They used Tighten Up as like a break song, but that was the music that we did. I went there Tighten Up with.
Right. So people don't realize that Tighten Up was actually a side B.
Yeah,
it was a side B.
It was a side. Well, Tighten Up was the B side, and on the other side, I had wrote this song called Dog Eat Dog, and it was conducive with New York. In other words, you lived in New York, with a Dog Eat Dog city. So the guys who were promoting the record, they said, man, this would be a great song, Dog Eat Dog, but I kept I told Skip Lee, I said, he picked the wrong song. Tighten Up is the one we want him to play. And some disc jockey in New York flipped the record over one day, boom, 100,000, 200,000, you know, that's the first day and everything. But it just went wild. They was playing the wrong side, but that goes to show the record executives don't know, you know, what they're really doing. And most of the guys who picked the records and other than A&R and the R&B department, when they went out to party in the evening, they went to a square dance. They didn't know anything about black music.
About it. Oh,
and they definitely didn't know anything about Tighten Up because it was something totally different and awkward.
When Tighten Up became a hit, were you in the service?
Yeah,
Were
that's right.
you were already in the service?
I was in Germany in
At the
Worms,
time.
Worms in the hospital.
You was in the hospital while Tighten Up was being played on the radio,
that's right.
and you were laid up in the hospital.
Yeah, had an accident on the Autobahn. I was in a transportation unit in Germany, and I was over there, and I had an accident, broke my leg and everything, but I was in a wheelchair.
Did you break your leg or did you get shot?
I broke my leg,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
My leg was
Right.
broken. See, and a lot of people thought that I went to Vietnam. I didn't go to Vietnam. And
Oh,
they
you
was
did
shot.
not go to Vietnam. Okay.
But the unit, what happened was everybody in my company in Fort Poole, except me and another guy, went to Germany. But my whole unit, that's how they thought I went to Vietnam. Whoever was writing back in those days was one of those mistakes.
Oh,
But,
okay.
But I
I'm
was
glad we got that cleared up.
I was in the Worms Hospital, and I told Skipper Lee that Skipper Lee called me and told me that Tighten Up had went gold. And I ran up in my wheelchair and rolled down the hall and said, "Hey, man," I said, "my record went gold and everything." And I had been telling the guys, the transistor radio, I said, "That's my record they playing." They said, "You guys from Texas do everything big. Y'all tell big lies, too." They thought,
And on that note, what you got there, Archie? We're going to take a break, and when we come back, more with Archie Bell. Thank you.
yeah, they thought I was a guy.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're gonna beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
I'm home and I love it. I'm home where I belong. I'm home and I love it. I'm home where I belong.
It's always nice to come home. But these days, many Americans are at risk of foreclosure and losing their homes. Making Home Affordable is a free program from the U.S. government that has already helped over 1 million struggling homeowners like these. And we want to help you.
I'm home. I'm home. And I love it. I'm home. I'm home.
Find out now what your options are. Go to makinghomeaffordable.gov or call 1-888-995-HOPE. The sooner you act, the better chance we can help you.
I'm home. I'm home where I belong.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
Welcome home, man.
We're back, and I'm still talking with Archie Bell from Archie Bell and the Drills. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like me on Facebook at facebook.com/The Cindy Davis Show. Thank you. Now, Archie, I did not realize that Tighten Up was on the Rolling Stone list for one of the best songs ever made.
That's right.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's really great. You know, a couple of years ago, maybe a few years ago, they had a top 100 song. Tighten Up came in number 5, next to Wilson. Willie Nelson number was number 4. You know, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. But Tighten Up came in the 5, and the Tighten Up came in at number 5 at the top 100. That's really saying something. And then, like you said, on the Rolling Stone, they had Tighten Up coming out at number 1. You know. It don't get no better than that. You know?
Don't get no better than
Don't
that.
get no better than that.
Who were your influences?
Well, I had a
Back
lot of
then,
I had a
yeah.
I had a lot of influences. I go way back to people like Eubie Blake, Art Tatum, Big Joe Turner. You know, all those guys. Fats Waller. But when I was here at a concert, I think I was about 17 years old, and I went to a concert and I saw for the first time Jackie Wilson and Sam Cooke. I think I was about 17. I was sitting in the audience, and I loved all entertainers. You could go as far back to the old back in the 20s up to the date today. But when I saw Jackie Wilson and Sam Cooke walked on the stage with no introduction. Nobody moved. And when Jackie Wilson came out, it looked like somebody with a gun shooting the women. They was falling out like they was being shot, you know.
Oh, really?
And I was wondering, how do those guys get that much power? What does it take to get to that level? And what I did was, I said to myself, I was sitting there in the show, and I said to myself, I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I know what I'm gonna be doing the rest of my life. I made up my mind, and then
Right then and there, you knew what you were gonna be doing.
Yeah, that I was gonna be doing that, but I didn't know it was. What I have is really called God sent. You make a plan, and God give it to you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I love that.
ask what you give, ask what you want for a knock, and the door should be open. Seek and you should find.
Yes, yes.
But you know, it started way back. But when I saw Jackie Wilson and Sam Cooke, I just made up in my mind that right then and there that's what I wanted to do and everything. And
Let's go back to the success of Tighten Up. Did I heard you mention something about Skipper Lee Frazier? Did he have?
yeah, Skip Lee was
he your manager?
Yeah, he
or
was
how
our manager at
he
the
was
time.
your manager at the time.
Yeah, Skip Lee had a show over on KCOH radio station.
Yes.
There on Alameda for years and everything. And they used to have these talent shows.
Yeah.
And everything. They had a thing on the radio, and back then you could bring a tape or a CD, not a CD player, but tape or a cassette player. And they would play it, and they would say, "Is it going to be a hit or is it going to be a miss?" And then you would hear what say a miss. You would hear the record hit the trash can, but everything. But we had a few things like that. But every time that we they played our song, then they never go to the trash can. And over at E.O. Smith, when we got the group together, they had a talent show at E.O. Smith, and a lady by the name of Miss Consuela Moorhead was a music director and everything. And we got together on the talent show, me and L.C. Watts and I, and Willie Parnell, James Wise, Cornelius Fuller, and all the guys got together, and we won first place on the talent show.
Okay.
So and everything, but that's how it really started. And then we moved from there over to Phyllis Wheatley. You know, started playing with Wheatley.
How many albums did Archie Bell and the Drells produce, release?
15.
15 albums.
15 albums, and
Wow.
I had one. I did my first solo album back in '81. I did one album, so it really, 15 altogether with the one that I did, my first solo album.
I like Let's Go Disco,
Oh, yeah.
Strategy,
Yeah.
Let's Groove. Some of those songs I was listening to, I was like, I didn't even know y'all did those
see,
songs. A
a
lot
lot
of
of the-
people only
yeah.
know y'all for Tighten Up.
Yeah, see, that's what's wrong with the people. I'm the man who put Houston on the world map. You can go anywhere with Tighten Up, but Gamblin' Huff came in the picture. We did a lot of things up in Philadelphia. It was played on the West Coast and the East Coast and everything, but never got down south here as far as Texas.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
say,
okay.
you put Houston on the map.
I had-
When you said Houston, Texas,
Yeah.
you could always mention
That's-
Houston,
that's
Texas
right.
at the beginning of your
That's right.
your songs.
And we had
Or at the
48 singles, 36 in the top 50, and all of songs. But a lot of
Wow.
that stuff not played here today. 102, they play all the best blues and hits and everything, but they forgot about the man who put Houston on the world map.
Yeah,
all
I
they
know
know is
that's-
Tighten Up,
all
and
they
there's
know
gonna
is
be a
Tighten Up.
showdown and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I
Yeah,
can't stop dancing.
I
And
can't
when
stop
I
dancing.
got with Phil International, man, they had those guys, great musicians. They did.
Yeah.
I think we did our best stuff when we got with Phil International.
Were you treated fair? I hear so many horror stories about artists who were not treated fairly with their royalties and things. Were you treated fairly when you were with Atlantic and TSOP?
When nobody in this
Records.
business, I don't care who you were, but nobody in this business was treated fairly. They never gave you the true reports of how many records you really sold or what have you. And now they release stuff overseas in different countries. You never know.
You just
And,
really
see,
never know.
China has copyright law, they never paid any copyright music for, you know, for music entertainers. They never paid. If they paid what they owe, it would be billions of dollars, millions of dollars, you know, even for artists like me, you know.
Right, right.
But think about Ray Charles and people like Aretha Franklin who've been out there and had 120 albums and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Hey!
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Danse, balance la cadence, ondule bien tes hanches au bal du dimanche. Danse, que la fête commence. Dans ma belle robe blanche, je suis ton chou.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
What was it like working with Gamble and Huff?
Well, I always tell everybody that's why I went to college. You know, when I was down here, I was still in high school, but when I went to Phil International with the musicians, Phil International has some of the finest musicians in the country and everything. I think they should have been, well, Motown was long before Motown, but after Motown, Gamble and Huff, and then Jimmy Jim and Terry Lewis, you know, that Prince up in Flight Time up in Minnesota. But working with Gamble and Huff was, I say that's why I went to college, you know. And I started with Gamble and Huff when we was on Atlantic label, but Gamble and Huff were our producers and everything. But when they formed Phil International, we went down to TK with Henry Stoner, Casey and the Sunshine Band for a year, but that didn't work out. So after that didn't work out, we went back and formed Phil International. So we got a chance to go back to Phil International.
Oh, great, great, okay. So what are your thoughts about the music today?
Well, there's a lot of good music, but when the computer came in, I could take you in the studio and make you a hit tomorrow, you know.
Yeah, why don't you do that? I sing.
But I'm just saying.
No, I'm just kidding. No, go ahead.
With all the technology and that, there's a lot of good music out there, but most of the music is senseless, don't have any. I even like the rap music, but if you're talking about something, you know.
Yeah.
If you're talking about something, but don't be talking about, you know, using women names, you know, treating them right, and all these awkward names they're using people, but when you hear a song like "Don't Push Me Like I'm Close to the Edge," that's a real song.
Yeah, that's a real song.
Yeah, 'cause that happens to everybody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Those were the early rap songs.
Yeah.
Those were the early rap.
It's like a jungle sometimes. I keep wondering how I'm going under.
Now you're gonna have to show me how to do the tighten up now.
and then you know, like in every city, they did it a little bit different. And we go to east side, they would do it different. Go to west side, north side, different, everything. But we had a thing. We'd have the people get on the stage and show how they did it. Well, they were from Third Ward or whatever. But when we did the tighten up, we put your hands on your hip, two to the left and two to the right.
Oh, that's how.
Yeah, good. And then when you're making melody, you go da na 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 na. And we didn't know we was getting a good cardiovascular workout. That was like exercise, see. And that's something I do now since I've gotten older in the years and everything. Well, you got to have some kind of way to work out. And if you entertain, you got to keep your legs and your upper body strong. So, you know, a lot of people are using it in exercising videos, tighten up. And, you know, I go around the country in Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia and everything. They be really Tightening it up.
Really tighten it up.
Yeah.
They still tightening it up?
Oh yeah, the older people, you know,
Oh,
the
yeah.
senior
Right,
citizens.
right. The senior citizens are still, yeah. We might bring the tighten up back. You never know.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, things
I did
rotate, they come back around.
I did a different version of it, but it's get these boys to get their pants up.
Oh,
on the video, I walk up to these guys on the street corner with their pants down and say, "Get them," and they put up their hand. I said, "Not your hands, your pants." And then the music starts.
The music starts. Oh, okay. I like that. I would like to hear that. You were recently honored by the city of Houston.
Right.
What was that experience like?
It was really great. We finally got the proclamation. April the 17th is designated Archie Bell and the Drells Day. April the 16th. I'm sorry about that. And you know, it's after all these years, it's about time.
It was your time, of course.
Right. The man who put Houston on the world map needs something. Need to be recognized.
Needed to be recognized.
That's right.
Needed to be recognized. That's a beautiful thing. You were telling me earlier on that you lost your brother. I'm so sorry to hear about that.
Oh yeah, just my brother Langston Bell Jr. He passed Friday evening and everything. But
I'm sorry to hear about that.
Yes, it's you know.
Every
man born has a time when he's gonna go, you know, and everything. And I had a brother, Ricky Bell.
I was going to mention about
Ricky Bell. He was a running back. Yeah, he was a running back for USC and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He passed in 1984. They have this disease called myositis. And young people and old people get it. You know, there's no age discrimination, but they've been trying to find out a remedy or a cure for it. You know.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. A lot of your fans do remember Ricky Bell.
Yeah, he was a great running back.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
I wanted to play football, but I thought I wanted to be a fighter too. But my mind changed quick and everything. My head was too big. I couldn't get my head out of the way with the boxing. In football, I didn't want to get beat up, so the music kept my attention. You know.
So tell me what you're doing now. You're still touring. You're almost 70 years old. You're still touring. You're on your way to London.
Yeah, I'll be going to London 29th of this month, which should be 29th of October, really. Yeah, I'll be going to London. You going to London, and I'll be going back in February. I travel out of the United States a lot. Because here in the United States, you're only as good as your next record.
Yes.
The people ask you, what you got out new, but the people in Europe and in all other countries, they remember your track record.
They remember your track record.
All they want to hear is tighten up.
All they want to hear is tighten up.
Yeah. All they want to hear is tighten up and everything. But I had a great time being. I didn't like being drafted, but when I got drafted into the military, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I got a chance to travel out of the country, and I could get on a flight at Ramstein Air Base right there in Kaiserslautern, where I was stationed, go anywhere in the world on a 3-day pass.
Wow.
I went to Africa and all the places that I never, thought about or dreamed about.
Well, God has been good to you.
Oh, yes,
and I want to thank you so much for being a guest on the Cindy Davis Show today.
Yeah.
And it's been a real pleasure.
And I told you that I did that because you're a home girl. When you say you was a fifth ward, I said, you got to do that.
That's
now.
right.
That's right.
That's right. We take care of each other, right?
Love you.
Love
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you so much. A living legend I am so honored to have here today. And I want to thank you for tuning in to the Cindy Davis Show. Until next time, God bless.